sort that out, but we're good to go now. And I'm happy to say, Thabo, that we in fact have community members that are here in the community world in Ga-Rankuwa Zone 1, ready to talk to us about what their issues are ahead of elections before we bring in the politicians at the top of the hour. But just to check the pulse, is the ANC here? Come on, you can scream. Is the ANC here? Is the DA here? I saw a few t-shirts of the DA. They're still coming in. Some of them had stepped out. There's some EFF supporters as well that will be coming through. Just to remind you what we are doing in our special broadcast, at 10 o'clock, we're going to bring in the Premier of Gauteng, Manyathela Lesufi, and we're going to bring in the Mayor of Tshwane, Silas Brink. And we are bringing them because we want you as the community to hold them accountable for what they've failed to do or what they've been able to do. Manyathela Lesufi has got to account to you for what the ANC government in this province has been able to do in the last 5 years. But we want Silas Brink as well to account to you about what they failed to do or what they've been able to do in Tshwane over the last couple of years since the 2021 local government elections. What we are going to do now is hear from the community. So I would like to hear from some of you as the community members to come. There's a roving mic here. I'm going to ask that we please keep the volumes down when one of your community members speaks. So please, let's keep the volumes down. So we're going to start with you, sir. Please, whenever you come to the roving mic, please just identify yourself, say what your name is, where you come from. So over to you, sir.
When you say we're inviting leaders, we need to contextualize this. I'm not leading anyone at the moment. I'm a citizen of Ga-Rankuwa. I'm also a person who's involved with community issues around education and health. But let me start by saying welcome to everyone who's here, in particular Honorable Premier Manyathela Lesufi and members of other NGOs that may be present here. I expected when we got the invitation, Clement, that you guys would, at 7:02, sort of broach the subject and explain the purpose of the town hall gathering or discussion, as you called it. I'm saying this because 30 years down our initial democracy in 94, it is for the first time that we've reached a confluence of so much that has been going on in the country. And some of the issues that are going to be presented here are issues that have been presented before by citizens of Ga-Rankuwa, and I'm sure they can vouch to that. Just to give you an example, in 2018, a delegation that included councillors from this community met with then Mayor Msimanga in the city of Tshwane. And a lot of issues were thrown out, and we understand the nature of politics now, 6 years down the road. But I do not want to focus or talk about things that I have not prepared for. Let me explain that as part of my work in the community, as a researcher, I engaged people, including learners in schools in Ga-Rankuwa, teachers who cannot be here, who belong to schools that we work with around issues of sexual violence in schools, bullying, mental health issues, etc. So what I'm going to present here are not really my thoughts as Bobby Mawani, but more the voices of those who could not be here at this very important gathering. I also want to say that when we look at where we are now, I checked the Brand Test poll 2 days ago that revealed that if we voted on Monday, the ANC would be winning elections, capping at about 40% of the electoral vote. Those are research stats, and probably when the figures come out later, some of us will reflect on those polls, but polls can never be predicted with accuracy. Many of the people of Ga-Rankuwa feel that they have voiced a lot of grievances over many years, but nobody has been listening to them. But I think it's the sentiment and mood that we feel also across South Africa. I was curious to find out when I read that this is your first town hall discussion, and correct me if I'm wrong, Clement. So beyond this town hall discussion, we are setting the tone for other discussions in other parts of the country, maybe. So some of the issues that will be highlighted here will also be captured by other audiences.
Yeah.
We are in the month of March. We are about to observe Human Rights Day. So I'm going to start by talking about where I think service delivery begins in any community. We start off with early childhood development. We all grew up at crutches and so forth. And last year, we had an opportunity of meeting with the city of Tshwane to address unemployment and how early childhood development can actually solve some of the unemployment crisis that we face in the city of Tshwane. The president in the SONA 2019, February, said, we are migrating ECD centers from the Department of Social Development to the Department of Basic Education. But then the challenge with this migration was that it did not take into account the fact that many of the people working in ECD centers are unemployed mothers and volunteers who have not been trained to do this work. The work that they do now has to be actually accredited by the QCTO.
Yeah.
And it has been frustrating for ECD practitioners currently to try and get, their work noticed. But we know we can create jobs, so service delivery begins there. Let me talk quickly about community safety.
Yeah, just in 30 seconds, sir.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to bring in someone behind.
Community safety issues are in schools. We have a lot of violence in schools. We have a lot of bullying, drug abuse, attacks on teachers by learners, and that needs to be addressed. At the same time, we're looking at mental health as an issue. The government needs to address issues of mental health and provide social workers and interventions so that we stop the violence that's happening in our schools.
Thank you very
on a
much.
daily
Thank you very
basis.
much, Ndate Bobby. Thank you. Let's hear for another community member. Ma'am, if you can give us your name,
Morning,
where
everyone.
you're from, and the issue.
My name is Talita Maseko. I'm from Ga-Rankuwa View. Rona di challenges tsa rona as community ke drug and substance, ke metsi, the service delivery. Most of the people in Ga-Rankuwa, I can say youth, they are unemployed. Ba tlhoka mmereko, and some ntho e ba irang gore ba nne go di drugs is because of unemployed. If lore ba ka tlisa the skills mo community, most of them they will be skilled and ba ka kry mmereko o better for bona. Another thing mo community ya rona, most of the people aba itse if they have challenges gore ba ka ya kae. If lore they can introduce something for the community gore ha ona le bothata e ya mo, they can help you. Thank you. I'm not going to be long because some of the things motho na le mo o buile ka tsona. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mme. We'll take another one. I will try and give as many of you an opportunity to tell us what your concerns are as we interface with our panelists as well, just after 10 o'clock. And Tate, you can give us your name and also tell us where you're from and what issue you're raising.
Okay, Ntate Zondi Obulelang, the owner ya zone, more complex in zone 1. More nali problem ya ventally ya bataba basinteni shubozarena, and then one of our colleagues, Bra Solim Ho, o ile a bolaiwa a le mo mmerekong. And really ra bolele le maphodisa then le NWC. Are not too so mo bona. These guys, ba khona ho utswa mantshegare, re ba tshware, re bitse maphodisa ba tshware within an hour. Ba tla ba tlo tsia dilo tse na ba di tlogetseng mo. Banong mo arena maphodisa ba re thusa mo Ga-Rankuwa, and then NWC since go tswile government ya bo Phuthatswana a ba re thusa ka selo mo dishopong tsa rona. Dishopo tsa nka tse di nwile ke di-foreigners ba lo rekisa mo hara Ga-Rankuwa, mara rena re sa kry thuso mo governmenteng ya rena ya ANC. Ke kopa ba re thuse. Ke a leboga.
Thank you very much. All right, so those are some of the issues being raised. We'll take the last one before the news, and then we'll hear more after the news. May, you can go ahead.
Dumelang, o buang ka lebitso ke Sophie Mokoena from Ga-Rankuwa View. Ke dumela gore premier e teng. I wish gore le mayor wa Tshwane nka ba le mo a tlo utlwa this. Batho ba Ga-Rankuwa View ra sokola. Re sokola ka metsi. People bana le dikgwedi ba sena metsi. We struggled ka mabone. We ended re tswala highway. Gore re tle re utlwelle ke Eskom le the city of Tshwane. So re kopa thuso. Batho ba robala metsi sometimes a boa ka bo 1 a.m. phase 5, 6, 7 and 8. The other phases di betere, but we stayed for 3 weeks re sena metsi go sena le even a water truck. So re kopa gore premier, as you are here, utla dilo tsa batho ba Ga-Rankuwa, and the mayor wa city of Tshwane should know gore Ga-Rankuwa he shouldn't give the services to the east of Tshwane, but forgets about this is the north of Tshwane. Harna the street lights, 3 years, people are being marked every day. From Ga-Rankuwa View, the entrance to the factory, Honali, di tlhare tse di kana, batho ba ya mmereko mole ba magiwa, women ba tshaba le go ya.
Yeah.
Bana ba bolaiwa mo nageng mole. If a tlo go nna ka pleke ele, ba bi nna di symmetrical east. What about go go dulang batho ba phelang teng?
Yeah, and
They are
those are
busy
some,
with the symmetries right
yeah,
now.
and those are some of the questions we'll ask
Thank
the mayor and the premier as well. It's a minute after 10 o'clock. We're going to get the latest in eyewitness news. When we come back, we'll continue the special broadcast, our first 702 elections coverage live from Ga-Rankuwa in Zone 1. Stay with us.
Now, as much as we say we can send the TMPD, we can try and deploy the forces, we know that the Premier has launched his initiative of the crime wardens. There are certain things that only the South African police can do. For instance, using helicopters, using crime intelligence, controlling the effects of our porous borders, where people come into the country undocumented, we don't know where they are. So we will do as much as we can, but the primary function of local government is bylaw enforcement, traffic control, and preventative policing. The best solution is to have South African police working side by side, shoulder to shoulder with the Tshwane Metro Police and whatever other initiatives there are. But unless we can equip the police stations to do the serious work of controlling the streets, of doing the crime intelligence, I'm afraid we're not going to win this war alone as a municipality.
Now, I also want us to talk about, because in hindsight, Premier, not everything has been rosy. Where do you think, as the ANC government, you could have done better, and you think there have been failures? Because I imagine that helps for any leader to reflect back and say, here, this is where we've done well, this is where we think we have failed, this is where we think we could have done better. In your view, as the provincial government, where do you think you failed?
I think the biggest task where we think that we need to improve, and we are trying to put systems, Madmesh, you can't have this high number of young people that are unemployed. It's a recipe for disaster. And the problem is, even though you have this high number of young people that are unemployed, We are attracting international companies. You are Huawei, you are Ford, you are BMW to come in Tshwane and create jobs. But the skills level of what the economy wants and what our people possess are two different. It's just water and oil. So that's an area that I feel that we need to improve and work out. Fortunately, we've taken that decision now. We've booked all TVET colleges across the country as the Gauteng provincial government. Any young person or older person, qualified or unqualified, who need a skill, we have to launch a massive skills revolution to retrain them. Because you can create jobs, you can attract investment, but if the skills level are so low, you'll never be in a position to attract that. So that's an area that we need to improve and deal with it. The second one, I need to accept, we have failed to manage the issue of people that are not South Africans or foreign citizens. The documentation and lots of visas that allows them to come into our country. We had lots and lots of visas. Visa to study, work permit, visa to visit your friend, to visit your family, visa to be here on a week or something. Fortunately now, we're in the tail end of overhauling that system, of ensuring that South Africans must be prioritized, supported, and be given the opportunities. We can't allow a country that elbow out its own citizens in the hospitality industry. We can't allow a country that elbow its citizens in the retail industry. So we need to overhaul that particular regime and put it. So we're putting up that particular regime. The third area is housing. We committed to ensure that we provide our people with housing. But the reality is, those particular houses are occupied by people who don't deserve to occupy those particular houses through fraudulent means and many other means. So we are overhauling that particular aspect as well to ensure that we put everyone on a biometric system so that we don't give you a key to open the house. You use your own finger to open your house. If the finger is not opening, it means it's not your house. But also, change the regime. People are tired just to give them RDP house. If you give them land, you put water, you put electricity, you put sewer. People can build their own houses at their own levels and ensure they have their other thing. So we must enter that particular space and provide that. So those are the three critical areas that you want to work, obviously, with the issue of crime, as earlier indicated.
Okay, and Mayor, where do you think you've failed? I mean, there's no government that is perfect. You've looked at what you've been able to do, but in terms of the things you think you could have done better, what are those areas for you as the city of Tshwane?
So I think in general terms, we should have acted far quicker in removing poor performing officials or officials who have been in those positions for reasons of politics instead of competence. The longer you take to put the best possible people in positions of responsibility, even if it means going to court over labor contracts, the worse the outcomes for government. A capable state is absolutely essential to achieving results. The second biggest problem we have, and this is a mistake that I think has come 2 decades, is lack of spending on infrastructure. If you want good services, if you want electricity and water, and if you don't want sewage to run down the streets, you must spend on infrastructure. Not consumption-based spending, not spending where you pay people to stand around, but spending where you build things, install them in the ground that improve people's access to services. And that we can do far better with. But there's one thing that I do want to say is, along with everything that does need to change, because remember, only about 10% of fiscal transfers go to local government. We're the smallest portion of government, and we very often carry the biggest load. When there is an eviction of land that's been occupied, it's the municipality that's called to provide alternative accommodation. When the same happens on a service site, on a reservoir, we cannot continue with that project because of the delays in the court system. So we've got to change our eviction law to discourage land grabs and hijack buildings and make it easier for municipalities to restore law and order and to get services going. But on the side of national laws, we also need to make it easier for municipalities to get the best value for money out of our spending. National laws about tenders and these things need to be simplified. We need the best value. Whether you can actually build the bridge is less important than who you represent in building the bridge. That is a crucial change that has to happen, and it can only happen at a national level.
I thought you were going to mention the issue around water, especially given that there are communities like Hammanskraal where we've seen deaths. Don't you think that is a failure on the part of the DA government in Tshwane?
So if you take Rooiwal, I mentioned infrastructure as the biggest neglect. If Rooiwal was upgraded 20 years ago, it could have been done at relatively, I wouldn't say affordable cost, but a manageable cost. Unfortunately, it wasn't done 20 years ago, and that's the story across the country. Money was spent on flashy projects and consumption spending instead of building and replenishing infrastructure. And in the meantime, the load on the infrastructure has gotten worse. So Rooiwal wastewater treatment plant, because it's underperforming, it's polluting the Arpies River, and that is the cause of dirty water. That plant needs to be upgraded. And I can say, without any doubt, that there has been failure on the part of this government and successive governments. And if we don't admit that, we won't be able to fix the problem, which is optimal spending on infrastructure. But let me also say that despite the political differences between this coalition and national government, we have been able to reach an agreement around Rooiwal to share funds to upgrade that facility, but also to bring relief in the form of a temporary, what they call a package plant at the Klipdrift purification plant on the Magalies water side. That is a project of national government, but we're working together to solve the problem. And I think that is important, to learn the lessons of the past. Yes, we've failed, but what are we going to do in light of that failure? What are we going to do differently? That's the key question.
Yeah, and I suppose the other key question is it too late or is it not? We've got some community members here that are lining up, that have got questions, that have got inputs, that want to raise their own service delivery concerns. We'll start with them as they engage the Mayor of Tshwane, the MMC here in Tshwane as well, and the Premier of Gauteng, Manyathela Lesufi. It's exactly 10:30. We'll get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. When we come back, we'll start with the residents here. Sfiso, good morning.
Hour of sleep.
The conversation continues
On the Clement Manyathela Show. Live from Ga-Rankuwa.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
It's 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Welcome if you've just joined us to this special broadcast of the Clement Manyathela Show. It's the first 702 elections town hall meeting. It's taking place here in Ga-Rankuwa in Zone 1 at the Ga-Rankuwa Community Hall, which is fully packed here. We've heard from the Premier Manyathela Lesufi. We've heard from the Mayor of Tshwane, Celius Brink. We want to hear from the residents now. You've heard what their concerns are in terms of the authorities here, what they think they've done well, the executive, where they think they have failed. But what are your concerns? I'm going to ask that you come to the roving mic. Please be quick. I'm going to give you about 55 seconds to tell us what the concerns are. And if you've got questions specifically to the MMC or the Mayor or the Premier, also directed directly to them. We'll start with you, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Clement. My name is Ntiba Mutudi from Ga-Rankuwa, Zone 16. My concern is that when we are sick, you go to the clinic, and the clinic refers you to the death camp, which is OD hospital. I say it's a death camp because if you get there now, you'll come back tomorrow. Whereas we have the nearest hospital, which is just Bukhari, which is about 2 kilometers away from us. That camp is 20 kilometers away from Ga-Rankuwa. Please do something. We want an access to that facility. Thank you, Clement.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Victor Piri from Ga-Rankuwa Cycling Against Substance Abuse. Our main concern is sports facilities. Since freedom that we acquired, Ga-Rankuwa has never ever received any sports facilities except those 7-a-side courts. We have clubs here, we have cycling clubs, we have netball. The sport facilities here, they are not existing. I don't know why, maybe leadership can explain. And then what's the plan to remedy the situation? Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. I've got two questions. Ne? Remember, it was widely reported in the media that the administration of DA has returned money of services and projects back to Treasury. Now, I want to ask the Premier to say, in terms of that, what is the recourse that the community have? Besides the oversight structures in Parliament, what are the recourse? Because it goes deeper than that. Because if there's no water, somebody cannot take medication. If there's no electricity, a student cannot study. If there's no roads, then it affects the community somehow and other things. So I want to check what is the recourse that the community have. And to the mayor of DA, I think where DA is being given a power to lead, there are always issues of service delivery, but that service delivery only affects black communities. I want to understand why, if you can check the east side of Pretoria, there are no issues. But the northern part of Pretoria, there are issues, because then I want to check whether that doesn't confirm the fact that DA is a white party. Maybe the mayor will clarify that. Lastly, Mayor, there's a reservoir in our area in Ga-Rankuwa View. It's built in the demarcation of Madibeng and Tshwane. Despite that, the councillor has tried best to assist with the water tank. That reservoir has been tampered with. And every time when it's been fixed, then they open it and then they tamper it again. It's been reported to the mayor, but there's nothing that has been happening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Clement. Mine goes straight to the Premier of Gauteng, Mr. Manyathela. I need his comment on the Ishuya industrial zone. ANC has been on the helm for 30 years. And then since it took over from Mangope, from those thriving firms, they have collapsed everything. Today, if you go there, there's looting, there's vandalism taking place. Now, I need to understand your plan. What is it that you are going to do differently from what you have failed for 30 years? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Jabum Guni from Ward 19. My concern is natural disaster. Does the government intervene when the natural disaster occurs, or is not their responsibility at all?
The provincial government or the local government?
I'm asking the government.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Nonkululeko. I'm from an NPO called LASCA. I have a question for Mr. Brink. Mayor, as LASCA, we have delivered a memorandum twice to you. You haven't responded to us. And we've only gotten a postponement on the response. So today I want to understand, why aren't you coming back to us on those memorandums? Because the biggest challenge that we have is the billing. Our billing systems are not correct. And the public protector issued and made recommendations on the COT systems investigation report. She made recommendations on how you should go about doing certain things that you have been doing. When are you going to address those issues? We have people all elders that have been applying for POPs. They have not been approved for years. How do you expect someone that earns 2,000 rand to pay a municipal bill of 3,000 rand? What are they going to survive with? Those are the things that we need answers on. When are we going to get answers as LASCA?
Yeah, thank you very much. Please, sir, if you don't mind, I'm just going to ask to stop it there for now. I just want the mayor and the MMC, because there are also some local issues, MMC 4C, that are being raised here that you can take some of those questions So I just want you to, let's deal with the questions so far, and then we'll go back to the more questions and inputs from the residents. Maybe let's start with the question by Mutiba around the George Mukari Hospital. They want access to that facility. Premier, do you want to start with that?
Thank you so much, Madam Major. I fully accept that. I think it's an area that I indicated in remarks that health facilities need to improve. If the communities believe that George Mukari is providing the best medical service, we should not stop people from going there. We should accelerate it, open it, and make it available. But we must emphasize that clinics play a crucial role. You can't underestimate and undervalue the role that clinics need to play, because they're nearest to our communities, but that does not mean that those that need better services at other hospitals. So it's a point well made in Tate Mutuli. We'll follow it up and attend to it with the MEC responsible for health in our province. Well, the other area that I really believe that is unfortunate, and very, very unfortunate, is the issue that was raised about the return of funds to national treasury. You can't, when we've got graves that are not cut, we've got lots of grass. You can't when you have communities that don't have water. You can't we have communities without electricity. With this high number of infrastructure backlog, that we still have municipalities that return funds to national treasury. I think it's a disease that must be defeated, it's a disease that must not be encouraged, but it also painted the picture of skills development within the people that have been given this particular task. So we are of the strong view that there must be no municipality that return, especially when municipalities are struggling with national allocation of the fund. So you can't get a small amount of money that you claim it's small and later not even utilize that small amount of money that has been allocated to you. So it's something that needs to be rectified and be rectified immediately. I'm indeed touched by the speaker. I follow sport, I love sport, and lack of sports facilities in our community is something that municipalities must accelerate. It's something that we need to ensure that each and every community must have a special sporting facility. Gone are the days where you think that our children need to either have to play netball or soccer. We need cricket field, we need swimming facilities, we need all these particular facilities in our communities. And therefore it's very, very important that we accelerate and provide all the necessary areas. Let me come to this issue of industrial zones. Clement, I agree that the industrial zones are not performing, and are mainly not performing because they've been outrun by what I call economic development. You can't have an industrial area that is still producing typewriters in this era that we have. You can't have an industrial area that has not moved with what is needed now in terms of either ICT, you need modems, you need production of many other things. So you need to reposition them. And I'm glad and excited that the area of Tshwane, we are repositioning the economy of Tshwane on 4 fundamental areas. The first one is the motor vehicle industry. We've attracted big motor vehicle industries. You have Ford, you have BM, and many other industries. So our industrial park must be parks that can service this particular economic nodes. And that's where we are repositioning them. Secondly, we've repositioned the economy of Tshwane on research. We've got many universities in this particular area. We'll therefore need to create skills that can also provide that support. We have repositioned the economy of Tshwane on what we call public sector economy. We've got ambassadors here, you've got government departments here, you've got African Parliament here. So you need to then ensure that our industrial parks contribute and perform towards that particular area. In terms of natural disasters are here with us. We are stuck with them. So we need to ensure that both provincial government, national government, and local government have facilities, skills, and work together. There must not be any institutional arm of the state that want to outshine the other arm of the state. We need to work together to ensure that all of these particular dangers that are facing our communities are resolved. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Thanks very much. Premier, I'm sitting close to you, not because I'm moving closer to you politically, but because the mic seems to work better on that side of the room.
There's nothing wrong.
So let me start by saying that MMC Temba 4C is going to deal with some of the details around the reservoir in Ga-Rankuwa, where there have been illegal taps into that reservoir. And let me also just say that in another place, in Mamelodi, we have that problem as well. And it became worse under COVID when it was virtually and legally impossible to obtain eviction orders, and you had many people settling on land earmarked for infrastructure. Now, it's one thing to disconnect an illegal connection, but if somebody's living there, if they've built a house on your reservoir facility and they're tapping into the connection, then it becomes complicated. And we're determined to work with law enforcement, to work with water and sanitation to deal with that. But I'd like MMC 4C to talk about the specifics of the Ga-Rankuwa reservoir that borders Madibeng and what we're going to do there and what we have done. On the issue of returning money to National Treasury, we haven't returned any money to National Treasury. They've warned us. They've said you haven't spent enough money at mid-year, and that same warning has been given to most municipalities in the country, including Joburg and Ekurhuleni. Now, we take it very seriously because we don't want to forfeit that money. And we've got to build the infrastructure, especially because our capital spending on water and electricity is dependent on that money. But the other consideration is this. You don't just want to spend money, you want to make sure you get value for money. You don't just want to pay invoices, you want to make sure that the contractor actually delivers. And in the findings of the AG in the last financial year, it was said to us, you must tighten up your systems and controls. And that's what we're doing. So the effect of that is we spend slower, and unfortunately, because national government has got a big deficit, they earmark local government spending to plug the hole. But we're committed to speeding up that spending, and like Joburg and Ekurhuleni, we've submitted detailed plans of how we'll catch up. The same resident who asked that question referred to a DA government. Now, let me just assure you, I'm here as the leader of a coalition government, a multi-party coalition government. And our commitment as a government is to serve all of the people. We represent constituencies across the city, and as many municipalities, we struggle with the legacies of failure, of state capture, of bad decisions in the past, but we're committed to serving each and every part of the city, whether it's the east or the north or the west or the south. And that commitment I can assure you of. On the issue of the Northwest Development Corporation and the industrial zones, one thing I'd like to add to what the Premier has said, we've got to speed up the transfer of those properties from the Northwest Development Corporation to Gauteng. In fact, it's either Tshwane or Gauteng. But while those properties are in the hands of a different province, it's very difficult to open them up to the private sector and to draw investment. The issue of natural disasters, the Premier has mentioned what he said, it's an intergovernmental approach. The one point I want to emphasize is most of the disasters we end up dealing with is because of settlement on uninhabitable land. Settlement on floodplains, settlement on land that is not suitable to put permanent infrastructure in. And so when it rains or when there's a fire, it causes great human tragedy. And a lot of work needs to be done to prevent that from happening, to prevent people from settling on land that will lead to tragedy. The last point I want to make is in response to Laska. I can certainly follow up on the petition. The one problem I have, in all due respect, with the leader of Laska, Tsepo, is that he encourages people not to pay their bills. And that is devastating for local government. It's one thing to dispute a portion of your bill, to say that this water meter reading or this electricity reading or this is unfair. Then you dispute that part of the bill. But then to refuse to pay completely and to encourage your neighbors not to pay, that is a recipe for collapsing local government. We take very seriously what the AG has said. One of the things that the AG has said is stop your reliance on estimations and go and read the meters. And what we're trying to do is to roll out the technology and the infrastructure. We're also having billing days for older folks or those who don't have access to technology. We've had one in Atteridgeville, we've had one in Shoshanguve, and my appeal would be to organizations like Laska, take hands with us Help us at these billing days to sort out the problems. Please don't encourage a culture of non-payment, because that will destroy the country that so many people fought so hard for. Thank you.
Thank you, Clement. To the gentleman, I think it's best, Clement, if people asking questions, they mention their names. It will assist us with identifying who they are. The first part is that he mentioned that nothing is happening from the city side so far as the Ga-Rankuwa view issue is happening, in particular the reservoir. I can confirm that a week ago I was with Violet Palwane, who's the ward councillor there, to intervene. The expectation of the mayor being everywhere like the Holy Spirit, it won't work. He's got his executive, that's why I'm here. So I was there on site to check what the problem was. One, and the second part was that the majority of people who are tapping into that reservoir are not necessarily Tshwane residents. Those are Madibeng residents on the other side. As I speak to you now, I've got interventions from the mayor of Madibeng so that he can have interventions from his side and be able to address, because from my side, there's nothing much that the city can do unless we just disconnect them on a willy-nilly basis. Let me tell you what happens when you disconnect residents on a willy-nilly basis. There becomes a violence in the area, one. Two, there's instances where you find that the very same residents who are now being disconnected are tapping into the infrastructure, prohibiting the very same residents who are rate-paying residents. So this is not something that could be taken as a city problem. It is a national problem of land. Clement, let's get a context on this. Land grabbing and illegal land occupation, it is where the problem is. We've got instances where our people are finding issues of empty spaces and they're occupying those spaces. That's number one. There was also a gentleman who mentioned that in white areas the services are not. Let me tell you, during the strike, in the very same white areas, we had communities coming together, making sure that they assist those employees who wanted to work. In our black areas, especially in the townships, this is where we had problems because personnel that wanted to do work, they were pelted with stones. Some were even shot. I can tell you that I've got 3 employees that landed in hospital during that strike. So there's socio-economic dynamics that still needs to be addressed here. There's social issues that still need to be done, especially or particularly the townships.
Okay, let's go back to the residents here. Please be quick. You've got 30 seconds. Remember to say your name and say who you're directing that question to. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Vela Pikoza, Sanko Regional Chairperson in Tshwane. My question is dedicated to the Honorable Mayor. Mayor, do you know that according to the Structural Act and Municipal System Act, what committee is the last sphere of the government? But in terms of you choose not to facilitate the election of the ward committee, and you went to appoint the Afri Forum to replace the ward committee. Can you elaborate on that? That's my first question.
I'm going to take just one, my brother. There's just so many people. Thank you. You were here earlier, though. That's when we had a problem. All right, go ahead.
Yes, morning. I'm saying that in a democracy, everything must come from the bottom. Now, the government is the driver, like ESCOM is the source of our engineered poverty. Now, if the government, who gave the government as the manager of or the driver of this taxi, the right to dismantle ESCOM and sell Sasol, and where did they get the mandate from? Because as a democracy, it must come from the people. Thank you.
What's your name again, sir?
Lisiba Rabala.
All right, good morning. I have a question for the mayor. I think this one in particular regarding illegal dumping. I think Ga-Rankuwa used to be quite clean 5-6 years back because that also adds to the state of depression that we find ourselves in. So I'm greatly concerned about illegal dumping as it affects, in my particular case, my small business. And I just want to find out what your plans are. Thank you.
Good day. My name is Moteo Marakile from Ga-Rankuwa Zone 4. My question is directed to Mayor, Premier, and MMC. We, as the concerned residents of Ga-Rankuwa, we had given a petition to Mr. Grande of Community and Safety regarding foreign illegal-owned spaza shops, saying that we're not only complaining as the residents of Ga-Rankuwa, we have solutions to unemployment, solutions to crime, solutions to creating and owning our own economy. but our petition is being addressed and it's been 7 months. And lastly, Mr. Premier, is nothing funny only for Soweto young people? What about the unemployed, educated, talented people of Ga-Rankuwa?
Nna lebitso la ka ke Yonika Modingwane from Ward 31. Ke kopa ho botsa something fela. A councillor ya Ward 31 e teng ha ke mo itse. O teng. O kae? O kae? Oh, oh, oh. Oh. Ke batla ho itse hore ward councillor ya rona e teng na? Because when I
please, let's come down. Let's come down. Let's allow Mama to.
Let him come. And Hako was because there are 12 official languages.
Whoa, guys, please, let's respect each other.
Let him come.
Hello.
Oh.
So that's the councillor of Ward 31.
Yes, Adle.
Okay, Mama. Thank you. Okay, Mama. Thank you so much.
Yes, okay. Meantime,
There he is. Mama. There he is. What question?
I think we were supposed to be there because we are Can I do question for Mr.
Okay, Mama.
Yeah. 2 terms. What meetings?
Utomo Mona no.
Today.
Okay, I'll bring him after the news, Mama. Hold it there. I have to take the news. Yes, I have to take the news and the break. Herbuwa, I'm gonna start with you again, Mama, so that you can ask the councillor the questions. It's 1 minute before 11 o'clock. When we come back, we'll pick up from there, and then I'll give the Premier and the Mayor to just wrap up with answering the questions that have been asked before we continue with our program. Mama, let's start with you quickly, where you wrapped up from. You were asking for the councillor of Ward 31. You saw him now. What question do you have? Please come closer to the mic, Mama, if you can. So you're asking about the accounts. Okay. Mama, we'll come back to that. Yeah. We'll come back to that because there's something wrong with that mic. Premier, let's start with you, maybe responding to those questions that have come so far, and then the Mayor, you'll take them as well before I release you.
Thank you so much, Mandy.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mandy. I want to start with what Muteo raised.
Can you hear the Premier? Okay, try this mic.
No, you can speak, it's fine.
Thank you so much, Mandy. I want you to start with what Muteo raised, that they are small business. They want to take over sponsor shops in the townships. They also want to ensure that they create opportunities for everyone. I want to say, Muteo, bring that memo to us. As the provincial government, we've established a Munoto account where we are the first provincial government across the country to pass a bill that we call Township Development Act to support township businesses and fund those township businesses and make available all the schools that are not utilized in the townships or government buildings that are not utilized in the townships, so that we can give business people that wants to open businesses in the township, including land that is owned by government is not utilized. We want to hand it over to people that want to start businesses in the township. So Muteo, you are free with us. We'll be in a position to assist you. Madam Major, I want to dismiss this myth that NASISPANI program of creating opportunities in our communities are meant for a certain political party or certain communities. We have created 90,000 jobs in the last 20 months. And the membership of the ANC in this province, it's not even closer to that 90,000. So it's not true. We are creating opportunities for everyone. It's just that the high number of unemployment is too high and needs to be defeated. And reality is, you are the only provincial government that is vigorously creating opportunities for all in all sectors of our community and all sectors of any other sphere of government that is creating opportunity. So we wanted to clarify that aspect. But I want to pin down on this matter of illegal dumping. Clement, Madimechi, as the provincial government, the government that I have the honor to lead, I'm not going to write a letter to Executive Mayor Brink if they are not collecting refuse. I'm not going to advise him that they need to collect refuse. They know it's their responsibility. And if they are failing to fix that, to collect refuse or fix water, the provincial government in this particular province will intervene whether the mayor likes it or not. We can't have our townships dirty purely because we are hiding behind administrative issues. It can't be. Our people come first, their dignity comes first, and cleanliness comes first, and we can't compromise that aspect. It's an aspect that we want to put it clear. The next aspect, and I really want to advise the mayor, executive mayor, you know me and you, we speak. I want you to reconsider trying to bring an NGO to replace government. AfriForum is a clear racist movement that went to parliament to defend an apartheid flag. They went to court to defend an apartheid flag and want to fly that flag in their events. It's not a hearsay. A flag that has plunged this country into a crisis, a flag that made people to be excluded to the economy, a flag that made us to suffer, a flag that has made scars that we have even today. And here is a municipality that believes this organization can be a friend of a municipality. This is wrong, and it must be rebuked, and it must be removed as an agreement. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thanks very much. All right. So the first point, I agree that electricity has to be bottom up, and that's why we've got to break Eskom's monopoly. I think that there's now consensus on that. It's just the courage to make it happen. It's not about privatizing. It is about doing what is best for the end consumer. Parts of Telkom were taken away in the 90s and privatized, and Telkom today is a commercial enterprise. It's doing well. It's diversifying. Eskom is falling apart. So we've got to be clear about where the solution lies for the end consumer. On the issue of illegal dumping, we've got to change the mindset that government must clean up wherever there's illegal dumping. It has to be combined with law enforcement. If there are spots that are signaled out for just dumping, we are going to use the Tshwane Metro Police to take action. Because simply cleaning up where there's dumping and nobody pays is not a solution. But we also have to recognize that the model that we have in Tshwane, where everything is outsourced to a group of companies that does the collections, is not working. We're not getting best value for money out of that. So we look at the waste collection, the bin lifting model. Lastly, and the province might not like this, but we probably need another landfill because we haven't advanced to the point of doing recycling 100%. We've got to build waste stations, and we have to consider another landfill, if only as a step towards going towards renewables. We have not replaced ward committees with any agreement with any organization. The Speaker of Tshwane is working currently on getting our ward committee elections ongoing. Unfortunately, in the past, there were irregularities with those ward committees, and we want to make sure when ward committees are elected, the process is proper. I'm working with the Speaker to do that. But let me now address this issue of working with organizations such as AfriForum. As a government, we have to take the support granted to us by organizations in the community that know the communities best. whether that is Afri Forum, whether that is Sol Benton Attridgeville, whether that is the Black Business Forum, we cannot be as arrogant to think that government has all of the solutions. It is not abdicating the role of government. It is following a whole of society approach, and it shows that we're not arrogant. It shows that we want to tap into people who want to contribute. And there's so many people who want to contribute, but there are people blocking them because they want everything to be a tender. They want everything to be a tender so they can benefit from government. We say no. We say we will work with partners. I want to close by responding to, again, the threat that the Premier often makes, and that is, we'll intervene, we'll intervene. Let me remind colleagues and residents, the last time Gauteng intervened in Tshwane, they turned a 200 million rand surplus into a 3.4 billion rand deficit. For 7 months, there was no elected government. Their own councillors couldn't afford to pay their bills or represent their communities. They caused so much damage, which we are still trying to clean up and fix. That is the full story. So let me assure the Premier that if he wants to break the law again to intervene in Tshwane, we will face him full on, and we will defend democracy, and we'll make sure that the change which has to happen is followed through. But that is said in very good spirit, Premier, and I hope we've got photos now to prove that I do speak to him.
Look, I can confirm that they are shaking hands if you're listening to us on the radio after that statement. So we're going to take a quick ad break. It's 17 minutes after 11 o'clock now. I do have to release the Mayor of Tshwane and the Premier, but we do have the ANC in the province, in the region. We've got the DA, we've got the EFF as well that will be represented here. So your questions, you will continue asking them, and then I'll get them to respond after the break. Stay with us here on 702.
76-675-0710. Introducing a collection of Audi Black and Urban Special Edition models crafted for the bold and curated for the progressive. From the sporty Audi S3 and elegant A4 to the distinctive Q2 and Q3, each vehicle has been created to be an extension of your identity. Style, design, comfort, and technology is yours to own with a guaranteed future value and a competitive monthly installment through Audi Financial Services. Visit audi.co.za to discover more.
Friday, the 15th of March is World Sleep Day. It's celebrated because sleep is the foundation of every aspect of health and well-being, from physical to mental and emotional. Restonic believes in the power of sleep and has a mattress for every need, whatever your comfort, preference, and budget. Visit restonic.co.za to find your best bed today and make sleep your superpower tonight.
The conversation continues
on the Clement Manyathela Show, live from Ga-Rankuwa.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
All right, it's 20 minutes after 11 o'clock. I'm gonna ask that we please come down. Let's come down. Let's take our seats. Let's take our seats. You're listening to the special broadcast of the Clement Manyathela Show. We're live from Ga-Rankuwa this morning. This is for our first 702 elections town hall meeting. As I speak to you now, there are some ANC members that are singing here next to the stage. They are holding up placards about Soli Msimanga. One says, Soli must be held accountable. Another one says, Ga-Rankuwa is filthy thanks to a racist DA and Action SA government. I'm going to try and get them to be seated so that we can continue with the questions. They're still singing along now, going back to their seats. So as soon as they sit down, we are going to start taking their questions and we can have our guests respond. In the meantime, I'm going to just introduce you guys in the meantime until they settle down. We'll start with the EFF. George. Is this George? Oh, George was supposed to be represented. Please can you just tell us who you are as a representative of the Economic Freedom Fighters?
Thank you, Clement. My name is Mpho Matlabane. I'm the councillor, peer councillor of the EFF in Tshwane.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to please use this mic. Your name is Mpho.
My name is Mpho Matlabane. I'm the PR councillor of the EFF in Tshwane.
Good day, Clement, and to the listeners of 702. This is Ofentse Manyathela. I am the Deputy Regional Chairperson of the Democratic Alliance here in the city of Tshwane.
Good morning, Clement. My name is Aaron Malulek. I'm the Chief Whip of the ANC in Tshwane.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Mpho, Ofentse, and Aaron. So we'll start with you, perhaps, Mpho, as the economic freedom fighters. You've heard what the Premier of Gauteng has had to say. You've heard what the Mayor of Tshwane has had to say as well. As the economic freedom fighters, what are you promising the people of Ga-Rankuwa and Tshwane here ahead of elections? If the EFF is elected into power, what are you doing differently?
Thank you, Clement, and the listeners of 702. As the EFF, we are very clear. We want to create jobs. We want to bring back the land to the people. We want to stop load shedding. As for what the mayor and the premier has been saying, we know, it is known that we were at some point in a political arrangement with the DA. And when we were in that political arrangement, we were very clear. We had issues that we needed them to do, particularly the issues of insourcing. And we managed that because the interest of the DA and its partners is to stay in power. And now that we are not part of that arrangement, now they've got other new partners. They've reneged from that council decision of insourcing the security guards, the cleaners, because their interest, they would agree to anything. They will agree to anything as long as they stay and hold on to power. That's how they operate, and we've proven it. Because now they have reneged to insourcing the security guards, the cleaners, as they had agreed and they had started. There's a batch that it was insourced, that they are earning a living wage now. But now, when they were supposed to bring another batch, they've reneged completely. But what you see now, they will tell the people of Tshwane and everywhere else, and whoever care to listen, that they do not have money. But when their partners in the coalition say we want a deputy mayor so that we can balance our interest, they do it without even dealing with the issue of financial woes that they always claim when they go out. So that's what we're saying as the EFF.
All right, I thought we should give the EFF an opportunity to speak there because they were not represented. In the last segment, we had only the ANC government and, of course, the DA coalition government. I want to now go back to the residents. Please, can you go ahead, just give us your name and then tell us what your issue is. And if you've got a direct question to the EFF, the DA, or the ANC, please just clarify who you're directing it to. Okay, I'm going to ask you to please come over this side so you can use this mic because it's more audible. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Kanare Lefoka. I'm the provincial chairperson of ASAPO, Gauteng. In actual fact, I should be part of the panel, but because the rules of 702 and the laws are always skewed, so I'll just make a few brief comments. I've got no questions to ask to, especially the ANC and the DA, because provincially they failed us, the ANC provincially, the DA locally. For DA to come here and say we must pay our bill, it must first repay the 10 billion that they say is unaccounted for in Tshwane. That 10 billion should be used to clear off the debts of the people of Ga-Rankuwa, particularly those of the northern areas of Tshwane. Secondly, much as I'm the chairperson of Gauteng, I do not intend to be the premier, because under the government of ASAPO, the provincial government is going to be scrapped. It's a waste of money. The 700 billion rands that is being spent on the provincial government must be brought to local government and be spent to ensure that people in Ga-Rankuwa have got water, people in Hammanskraal have got clean water. Lastly, DA and ANC. I'm asking you, please stop treating areas that are known as formerly BOP areas as the stepchildren of the government. We were treated bad under the NC government as Ga-Rankuwa, Mabopane, Hammanskraal because of our so-called history of belonging to BOP. We are also experiencing the same under the DA, which develops areas to the east of Pretoria and continues to undermine the people of Ga-Rankuwa and the northern areas. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My name is Eva from Ga-Rankuwa Zone 2. What I wanted to talk about is about illegal dumping. Already it was addressed. But so far, the mayor just went, he's no more here. I would ask him some question because he made some promises about this illegal dumping. Right where I'm staying, I'm in Zone 2 next to Cassandra Park. I can't sleep in the evening. That dumping place, it's stinking. I can't even sleep. So please, 702, if you can just help me. Next time, just call the mayor because he made some promises that very soon he'll see to it that that place is now clean. I wanted to talk about this. There's a reed. I don't know how to talk. It's in Setswana, ke letlhaka. It's growing so high, and people, ba tshwarwa poko. So please, Mayor Officer Samai, I wish before somebody dies there. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. It's unfortunate that the mayor has already left. Yeah. Oh, yeah, here, MMC. Yeah, no, we're happy the MMC is from Ga-Rankuwa, ne? But we can clearly say that ever since 2011, 2016, the DA took over 2016 in the municipality. The infrastructure that they found, the street lights, your tar roads, they can't even take care of them. Our colleagues of Action SA are holding boards that are saying our townships are unsafe. The first thing that we need is to have working street lights and high mast lights. But they can't take care of them. It's the infrastructure that the DA found. And our MMC comes from Ga-Rankuwa. I'm sure when he enters, it's very dark. He must tell us what is it that he's going to do. Another thing is that the mayor spoke about flashy projects that were implemented during the time of the ANC. But they can't even take care of those flashy projects. This is lastly, MMC, the issue of the billing system. There was a program called Indigent. Back when the ANC was still in charge, to register a person on Indigent, Comrade Aroni, took about 8 weeks. Just to register a senior citizen, my brother, it takes up to 6 months. And our senior citizens cannot afford paying the municipal bill. Hence, the finances of this city are in a mess. Thank you very much.
This is the Clement Manyathela Show, live from Ga-Rankuwa.
702.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, 25 minutes before 12 o'clock, we are still live from the Ga-Rankuwa Community Hall with community members here. We've heard from the Mayor of Tshwane, the Premier of Gauteng. We are also joined here by Ofenze, who is the DA Tshwane Deputy Chair and MMC for Human Settlements in the city of Tshwane. We've got Mpo, who's the PR Councillor from the city of Tshwane. Aaron as well, who's an ANC Chief Whip of the ANC in the Council Tshwane. I'm going to go back to more of your inputs and questions in a moment, but I want to also invite on the stage Funzi Ngobeni, who's Action SA's Gauteng Premier candidate, and Tebogo Molwausi, who is the Rise Mzansi Gauteng Provincial Convener. And I'll ask you to just give your opening remarks, Tebogo and Funzi, about what you are offering, because you are contesting elections for the first time, the provincial and the national elections. As Rise Mzansi, what difference are you going to make to the people of Ga-Rankuwa and some parts of Tshwane?
Thank you very much. I think we must locate the problem where it is, which is we've got a crisis of politics and a crisis of political leadership. We had the Premier sitting here talking about sporting facilities and addressing drug abuse. But he was in Sidibeng yesterday, and I can tell you that
At Rastaval, there's a stadium there which has got sporting facilities, netball, soccer, swimming facilities, which have been incomplete for 5 years. That was under his watch. Right next across the road is Rastaval Secondary School, which was also incomplete for another 5 years. The students of that school are currently being kept in a temporary facility where they're being forced to learn in conditions where there's asbestos, etc. So I think we need to shift away from this idea of the politics of promises. Don't promise us anything. Just create a stable environment for us to be able to build a successful Tshwane. And that speaks to capacity. The capacity of the political leadership needs to be elevated. The capacity of our civil service and their ability to serve our people must be elevated. That will then create stability so that we can draw investment and deal with issues of service delivery. The issues that we have, you can't build an economy on the basis of failing infrastructure. There's no stable power. Even Transnet is broken. If you want to import and export goods and services, you can't do that. So how do you build successful companies within the Tshwane district, within Ga-Rankuwa, when you can't even get the basics right? We must go back to the source. We need new leaders who understand the complexities of this new economy that we need to operate in and solve for the basics.
Thank you very much, Tebogo. Mr. Funzi Ngobeni.
Yeah, thank you, Clement. I think the challenges of Gauteng are many, and we won't be able to resolve them at once. We now need to identify what are the priorities. And from the conversation that was happening here, you could hear from communities that the issue is about unemployment. The second issue is about crime. The third issue is about infrastructure that is lacking and has been actually allowed to dilapidate in this area. So as Action SA, that's what we're going to focus on. The first thing that we are going to do, because we are aware that it's not only young people that are unemployed, there's also 35 years and older that are also very unemployed. They've been retrenched. Factories have closed in and around Ga-Rankuwa and in Tshwane here, and as a result, they are sitting at home. As Action SA provincial leadership, provincial government, we're going to do an audit of all the dilapidated factories here in Gauteng. We're going to identify them. We're going to give them to the private sector. And we are unapologetic about it, that we're going to work with every private sector that is available to help us to rejuvenate these industries. These industries are going to not only employ youth, but are going to actually absorb the unskilled labor that is sitting at home, which as a result of poverty, then they end up committing things like crime as a result. So we're going to work with the SAPS to ensure that we deal with crime. But I want to also highlight that dealing with crime, because as a province we don't have a constitutional right to be able to instruct the police to do what they're supposed to do. We need to make sure that we decentralize policing in this province. We need to give more power to local municipalities. Yes, not only metros, but all the 9 municipalities in Gauteng. They need to have police force, law enforcement agencies that can be able to ensure that we deal with crime at that level. You know, I mean, initiatives like Amapanyaza, yes, it's a good initiative, but we need to take it to all municipalities, and municipalities must be responsible for policing, not the province, because the province doesn't have the power to be able to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All right, let's go back to the residents. Go ahead, sir. Remember to give us your name and be quick. You've got 30 seconds each.
Okay. Thank you very much, Clement. I'm from Ward 31, the so-called place Rama. It's on the R566 when it comes that side. I wanted the mayor and the premier to answer us, the resident of Rama, or what is happening in Rama, because we are caught in the middle of CPA. The people are fighting there. We don't know where we belong, and then we don't even had a single politician or a councillor or a mayor coming to us and responding to our crises. We don't have sewer, we don't have water. A few houses were electrified because of the portfolio committee came last year. They were told that Rama, they've completed everything. But to our surprise, nothing has been done in Rama. We don't know where to belong. It was in Ward 34, now it's in Ward 31. We don't know which councillor is serving us. The proof of residence, sometimes they come from the councillor Peterson, sometimes you got it from councillor of Ward 31. We don't know where we belong. We wanted the Premier to answer us. When they signed the memorandum of understanding, to whom they were signing with, we want the answers as people of Ram. We were wishing that the Premier must come there and stay for only 2 days. You can't even go to a loo in this kind of temperature. We are subjected to a bucket system. I'm a father with kids. I dug a hole, preparing a smaller septic tank in front of my house so that my cats cannot get sick. What kind of a life can we live in this South Africa, in the democratic South Africa? No, guys, please. We want services in Rama. Pass by Rama and see what is happening in Rama. You'll be ashamed. Thank you very much.
I'll get them to respond. The DA is also here. Remember the MMC. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Dumelang baagi ba Ga-Rankuwa. My name is Usmi Somhlang. I'm the branch chairperson for the Democratic Alliance in Ward 31. It's said for gore kutlwelle ntate wa Azapo a re batho ba ska patala di services, but anyway, that's a topic for another day. That's why maybe the small parties they tshantse maybe di fe di parties tse di an experience gore di rane infrastructurally the city and national. So now the problem with Amapanyaza is that we are taking a lot of money reinvest mo Mapanyaza, but police station ya rena ina mabone tšhelete enkebe if fanda Mapanyaza enkebe lore ilukisa infrastructure that is already here. Now run a problem, no, crime is out of hand. Crime is out of hand, but now for tšhelete ko Mapanyaza. Mapanyaza ana why research this investment e lore ke tsamaisa ke load shedding. Load shedding is an investment mo Gauteng. But to ba bereka ko Mapanyazeng e ke lore ba bereka mo the infrastructure ya Gauteng. So now it's a problem. We cannot be subjected to those. So Mapanyaza out, police station chuma, Eskom load shedding out.
Thank you. The other one. Okay. Let's give the others a chance. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Clement, ke a leboga. Ke kopa o ntetlelele ke bue ka Setswana.
Yes, please.
Nna ka lebitso ke nna Khotso ka sefane kwa Hatsela. Ke mo councilor ko 12. You know, Clement, pila o thomile kgole. This debate we told me about what I next. Rise selo. Ka municipality. You are supposed to call councillors pele. Debate. Let me tell you, Clement, I got the include here in Tshwane, I run a municipality. I'm a councillor here. We don't have any municipality. What do I mean? Constitution of South Africa is very clear. You know, Motswana got a service delivery community Tshwanetse rapele. And you know, Gawana community, Tshwanetse teacher community or governance as councillors. Here in Tshwane, Rhetoric DA, Action SA, ACDP, FF Plus, Free Forum, Bargaining Regula. You're not. I'm saying that the Funzi. Every time I go canceling he knows the challenges. You know, here marble community, here failure. Now I'm a councillor, I feel like I'm useless councillor, Clement. You know, the councillor party in Winterfeld. 2016, it's stopping a project in where the toilet to Winterfeld. But it's painful, Clement. But Winterfeld, Winterfeld is an Winterfeld is an oldest informal settlement. Let me tell you. No, councillors are here. Project by stopping.
Wait. So what I want to do is I want to give many more people an opportunity to raise their issues. But I want these people to respond to your concerns you're raising.
No, you know what?
I want you to, hold on. I want you to allow me to be in charge of this, right?
Okay.
I'm going to give you an extra 20 seconds to wrap up your point, and then I need them to respond.
You know, Clement? Na ke nyaka ban respond, ke nyaka ba botsa nnete. Ko Winterfeld, no only project during term ya Sputa ra Mokhupa. And it's inside the pipe. Hore ba lokela batho ba Winterfeld di-toilet. DA ha etse ene e stopile. Action SA e sa bolela selo ke bana ba banyane a ba itse selo ba tlile mabane mo governmenteng. So I'm saying, Clement, ke kopela re tse community ya rena serious. In future, re kopela ho debate arena, bitsa councillors. Because le community e ra itse councillors tse ding. Le kopela debate le bona ba. Bo offense, re colleague re na le bona.
Thank you very much. I'll start with the DA. I'll give the ANC, EFF, Rise, and Action SA to also respond. I'm going to ask you guys to please keep it short so we can take some more responses. Please, can we come down?
Thank you very much, Clement. And I'm very happy that Councillor Zilla indicated that some of the community members don't know their ward councillors. And it's true, it's because they are in hibernation. They have abdicated their work to PR councillors and even to branch chairpersons such as that of the Democratic Alliance. Quickly, the Winterfeld issue, yes, we came in and we stopped it because it was corruptly awarded. And I can assure the community of Winterfeld that as the MMC of Human Settlement, I have now re-advertised that project. We are going to complete it through proper SCM processes. Corruption must end. Similarly to Rama City, we have ended that, we have stopped that because there is issues of land claims and all those things. National government instructed the city to stop using city money on that private land because it will become an AG finding. I said as an MMC of Human Settlement that I cannot let people live in those conditions. So right now, as I talk to you, there's an advert out to complete the reticulation of sewer and water in that area to finish building the reservoir so that we can have infrastructure of water. We are not claiming we are working. And then there are other issues that were raised at Clement around the 10 billion. Unfortunately, Azapo has left. Mama was on to we will go and fix that illegal dumping. Your ward councillors have decided that they are not going to work with the DA government. We will come to the ground and work for the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Aaron?
No, thanks, Clement. The issue of the DA can't take pride on how they're running the city. They are owing ESCOM 4.5 billion as we speak. In January, they paid only 600 million. Anytime will be Mfuleni, where our account will be attached and monies of the city. We are going to wake up where employees will not be paid. Other service providers will not be paid. What we need the DA-led government or the coalition to do is to bring back Rahatswane so that we can give people service land. We can also prioritize backyard dwellers and make sure that what we call township estate is attended because people, they're struggling economically. They are trying to make sure that they've got tenants in their backyard houses. What we need to do is government to support such initiatives. The other thing that we need to do is for this coalition to accept that national government must bring in Section 63 of the Water Act. City of to provide services around the water issue. The other issue that we need to do is electricity for all. Izinyoka and people that are stealing electricity will come to an end if we are providing people with electricity and making sure that they've got smart meters. Our people are willing to pay for services. But this government is unable to provide them with services, quality services. It's very shameful for Offense to say that he will go and clean one dumping site. The whole of Tshwane is very dirty. Government of the DA-led coalition is unable to clean Attersville, Hammanskraal, and all townships. Therefore, why do you pick Ga-Rankuwa only? Go and clean all townships and make sure that you do not prioritize suburbs only because of everybody that is here is a resident of Tshwane. Thank you.
Rise Mzansi and Action SA, you've got some residents here saying you have no experience in government. So how do you convince these people to govern? I'll start with you first in terms of provincial and national experience. So how do you convince people like that who say you don't deserve my vote because I've not really seen you being in charge as the Action SA, except through, of course, the multi-party coalition?
Yes, no, look, I mean, some of us have been in local government before. I served with President Mashaba in the city of Johannesburg. I mean, some of the things that we did in 3 years with Mr. Mashaba in Johannesburg, the ANC government couldn't do it in 30 years. You know, I hear the leader from the ANC talks about giving sites and services. They have failed to do that in the last 30 years. We are also saying that over and above giving sites and services, we need to make sure that we take over the inner cities of municipalities. People that are living far-flung from economic activities, they need to be brought into the city so that they can be able to access opportunities easy. It doesn't help us to continue with apartheid style of building houses, where we are building people's houses far from economic activities. We are saying, here are the inner cities. They are available for us as government to take them from criminals and give them to people that deserve them, which is South Africans. We want to do that with Johannesburg. We want to do that with here in Tshwane. We need to remove all those illegal people who are sitting in Sunnyside, occupying buildings illegally. We must get local people to go and live there so they can go to access economic activities. That's our position.
And Rise Mzansi, the same question for you.
Yeah, so thanks. I think, they say never waste a good crisis, and we are definitely in a crisis. One of the things that has come up over and over today is the issue of water. We've got highly capable people in Ga-Rankuwa and in Tshwane who are able to work. We should be using the water crisis as an opportunity to create jobs. There's opportunities to upskill people, reskill people, so that they can feed into the supply chain and the value chain of water management, all the way from mega projects right down to the last mile. Hona tjere na le di-jojo tank tse feili, batho ba nwa metsi a sa lokang. We should be having young people who are able to access those opportunities of work to clean those jojo tanks so that people don't drink contaminated water. It's unacceptable that right now we've got leaders who want to squabble and yet we've got a burning platform. When you don't have electricity, it's one thing. You can buy solar and an inverter. When you don't have water, people die. So we must take this thing very seriously and escalate our ability to respond to it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll come to you in a moment. Let me just also give the EFF an opportunity, and then we'll come back and take some more inputs on the floor.
Thank you. You have heard Funzi was bragging about being able to deliver in 3 years things that ANC failed to deliver. That's when they were pushed by the EFF. That's when they were implementing the manifesto of the EFF. And it's very clear that is why they were even chased away by the DA, because they were, even the Amashaba was called the mayor of the EFF. Because we're pushing them like that. Even these ones, we push them to implement, to in-source security guards. And now, because we are no longer there, that's why now they've taken a turn, doing something else. There are MUBA like that. It depends who's in partnership with them, then that's how they operate. Second thing, Canary from the Azapo was just reciting the manifesto of the EFF. We are very clear that we must do away with the provinces, we must do away with deputy ministers, because that is money that we can take to go and deal with some of the needs of the people on the ground. So the issue of Rama, the issue of other areas, people of Tshwane, service delivery indeed has collapsed completely. It has collapsed completely. Ufenze is trying to play politics. There's dumping everywhere around the corner, more especially where there's black areas. There's dumping in every corner when you enter the location. Yeah. So for him to then say, to pick one because he wants to satisfy and he wants to politic in this group, it's disingenuous, and then he must be honest. He knows that the service delivery has collapsed in the city. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, you've heard from the politicians, you heard from those in government. I'm just going to take the last inputs now from the floor. Let's start with you, sir. You've got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Good day to the residents of Ga-Rankuwa. Well, my name is Floyd Tema, and for sure, many of you will know that I wear many caps. And in fact, and I want to refer my queries and clarity-seeking questions to the IDP book of the City of Tshwane from page 177 to page 200. This year, there was a gentleman that came here and spoke about sewer in Rama. There have been a budget allocated by the city to develop and construct a sewer network. The budget was just around 1.5 million. That money has not been spent by the current administration. We move forward. There's a sewer system in Ga-Rankuwa, everywhere along the streets, you see sewer along the roads. 5 million have been set aside, nothing has been done. No cent has been down. There is a red soil in Ga-Rankuwa, zone 2, zone 5, zone 4.
Zone 5 tar roads budget has been allocated for last year and this year, not a single cent
Thank you
spent.
very
Wait a
much,
minute, Mama,
sir.
I'm wrapping up. RDPs in Ga-Rankuwa, and I'm happy offense is there. We spoke about it. We are going to resuscitate that program. Yeah, reconstruction of RDPs, and we are going to hold you accountable. Zone 4 tar road project has been stopped
All right,
because
your
the
time is up,
city
sir.
does
Your
not
time is
have
up.
money. 5 million allocated there, nothing has been
My
spent.
sir, your time is up. Let's hear
thank you so
from you, sir.
Dumelang.
Yes, quickly, sir. Go
Chairperson
ahead.
Sanko 131. Tabanze Bandlela. We had an argument on the phone. This is run to Sanko 131. Enora exists in 131. Can Sanko 131 stand up? Sanko 131. Can you stand
go
up
ahead,
so as
sir.
Mr. Matzibandlela I won?
Yeah, Baubon,
This is
what are
Sanko
your
in
inputs?
131. Mr. Matzibandlela, I went to see all the directors. They're having a challenge. The challenge that they're having is because they're working with one team. I have a voice. They're working with one team. Why? Because they're working with one team. Why? Because if somebody at Logofala, you say the directors advertise a post. Luna as municipality that post haina budget. Budget ya motho a tlhokofetseng e ile kae? Budget ya motho ba mo koba mmerekong e ya kae? Because we can't have more teams, and that's one. Two, you give region 1. You know how big region 1 is. You give it 5 million for Zephy's deliver. You give region 5 million. Which region 5? Ki Kalinene, ki Brongor-Spruit, ki Refilwe, Fela, D3. But region 1 starts from Soshanguve and at Pretoria East. How can 5 million survive on those?
Thank you very much, sir. Let's hear another one. I need to take just 2 more before we wrap up. Remember, yes, please, go ahead.
Sure. Dumelang batswadi. Nna ke tlo bolela ka Setswana, ndumelle ke bolele ka Setswana ebile ntatolo ba le khuanyana ba mo thusitsa tsamaya a ke bone botlhokwa ba ya ona le khuwa mo ke lona le fela. I'm Vincent Mukari. I'm a chairperson of Zone 14 Ga-Rankuwa. It's an informal settlement. MMC wa housing ke sure wa itse Zone 14 ne ke informal settlement e philang e butswa maka hutla di puppet. Some of them they are next to me ba tla banyaka di vote ba fura batho ba rena bona ba no ha o tsamaye go Zone 14 MMC re ile go region 1 re boletse le ntate Chipu a re botsa ro ira map go Zone 14 wa ditsela wa re graveling. We did so re irile map ra drafta Zone 14 hore wena MMC o tlo o isaine ba khona lokisa ditsela da a yetsa ha le ntho ne khupela MMC go tloa mo go tseko o nyaka ntate Chipu please le tle le re lokisetse and then before to bona dio tse dintsi mathata hore bana ba tlhokofala di ambulance ha di tsene go 14 please.
The last one, you've got just 20 seconds, please.
Dumelang. Ka lebitso ke Matome Sarabana. Ke regional chairperson at Rise Mzansi. Ke eme mo ke nyaka go bolela le the led government Tshwane, the DA and the Action SA and other coalition partners. Re na le problem mo Tshwane. Ka mo Tshwane re na le problem ya mabitla a rena are not secured. Re palla go ya ro phasa go mabitleng a rona, and we have a government e lo reng e re yona e tlisa ditirelo go batho. Always area go mabitleng we get marked each and every time re kera batho ba bolaile. What are you guys saying about this thing? I think.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm out of time completely, but we're not done. My colleague Mandy Wiener will be continuing with her show, the Midday Report, from here after the news. It's 12 o'clock.
All unregistered residential schemes are operating illegally. That's why the Register Your Residential Scheme campaign.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Report on 702 and Cape Talk, coming to you live from a community centre in Ga-Rankuwa, Zone 1 today, where if you've been listening to 702, you would have heard my colleague Clement Manyathela hosting a town hall for the past 3 hours. For our Cape Town listeners, to explain to you where we are at the moment, Ga-Rankuwa is northwest of Pretoria in Tshwane. It is hot. It is so hot in Ga-Rankuwa. My sweat is sweating at the moment. So we're in this town hall, and it's just been emptied out because, of course, it was packed. It was heaving for the past 3 hours, and now everybody's outside in the midday sun. And what's amazing to see is there are all these political party representatives in their different political party regalia, and they're all talking to each other outside in the sun. Inside, there are dozens of lined up black, green, and beige plastic chairs that are now vacant. So we are mopping up what has been discussed for the past 3 hours. We are also very aware that there are other big news stories happening today in Joburg. There are still many people who do not have water. I did try and doorstop Manyathela, the Gauteng Premier, to ask him about that. He told me it's not for him to speak about that. It's for the mayor in Joburg to speak about that. I'm not sure I completely agree. We'll talk about that a bit later on in the show. And then, of course, in Vredenburg, outside the Magistrates Court, there's been a lot of activity. We've seen tear gas. We've seen stun grenades being fired as well. So we'll get into all of that during the show. If there's anything you would like to speak about, send us a WhatsApp voice note, 072 702 1702, 072 567 1567. Clement Manyathela, as you wipe your brow, I'm
wiping sweat off my face.
It was
That's how hot it
literally
is.
and figuratively
Yeah.
heated in this town hall for the past 3 hours or so. As you reflect on the discussions that you had, what do you take away?
So, we report a lot about service delivery issues on our shows every single day. And I think it's a different thing when you have to come and interface with the community. And I'm sure the listeners who have been listening to that, you heard how tensions were going high. And sometimes as the host, as someone who's facilitating, you've got to allow yourself to come down and allow people to raise their frustrations, because it's not every day that you have the Premier of Gauteng coming to your community to listen to you. There's a way you respond to the failures of government through the ballot. There's a way you respond perhaps in protests. But when you have an opportunity, which you have provided for the people of Ga-Rankuwa today, to have the mayor come, take their questions, raise their frustrations towards them, I think for me, that's a good tick, that we were able to bring these powerful people that on a normal day would not ordinarily interface with the community coming here. But yeah, there are a lot of issues that they have raised. I mean, Alpha's story this morning, that's what we kicked off our special broadcast with. A police station that has to close its gates in the evening because of power cuts. And that speaks to the issue of crime, which has been raised here as well in Ga-Rankuwa.
We are often very critical of politicians for only appearing during election season. And we always say, I say it all the time, it's election season. Some communities would argue that the media also only appears during election season, and we come into areas like Ga-Rankuwa like this, and we listen to people and we give them a platform and we allow them to engage with the Premier and with the Mayor. Where do you see the value in that for residents here, and how do you walk away from a town hall like this feeling that people have been able to ask their questions?
So the first thing around being in communities, Mandy, I think as the Clement Manyathela show, we've done probably around 2, if not 3 special broadcasts already this year. I mean, we were in Soshanguve about a month ago, going to speak to people about the issue of crime, which is something we had wanted to do last year. We've been going to some communities, but I do think we need to spend more time going to people and bringing those in authority to respond to their questions, because as platforms like 702, as media companies, we have at least not only this platform, but we've got the connections to speak to those that are in power, those that are in government, and if we can bring them closer to the people that they serve, because they don't come here. So Manyathela, when they visit these communities, they come to campaign. And when politicians come to campaign, that's them giving speeches and telling the residents what their commitments and promises are. But what we do through these platforms and through many more town halls we'll be doing ahead of elections is to say, these are the people that have been coming here to campaign. These are the people that have been making promises. Have they met those promises? And what do you want to say to them? And I can tell you, it's not easy for politicians to sit here and hear someone say you are useless. So I'm always appreciative of them to be mature enough. For Panyaza to sit here and hear someone say, you've been useless over the last 5 years. For the mayor of Tshwane, Celia Brink, to sit here and someone says, you are bringing this metro to the ground. And I think there's a level of value that comes with not only the people here raising those issues with the politicians, but politicians as well, hearing the frustrations on the ground directly from the people, not from their councillors.
And we'll be doing more town halls in the run-up to May 29th, right?
Absolutely. So this was our first 702 elections town hall meeting, starting in Ga-Rankuwa. We're going to be moving to Soweto in the next couple of weeks, and then we're going to be moving to Ekurhuleni. But that's just the town halls. On top of that, we will be going to have conversations as well, doing outside broadcasts in other parts of Gauteng as we look up and count ahead of the elections.
Clement Manyathela, thank you very much. You can go and jump into an ice bath. There's one just outside waiting for you. No, you're going to have to deal with some more sun out here. But yeah, that's Clement Manyathela wrapping up the past 3 hours at the town hall.
702, the Midday Report, Monday to Friday.
12 to 1 p.m.
Now, EWN reporter Alpha Ramashwana has spent some time in this community of Ga-Rankuwa. Two stories that really stood out. The one Clement Manyathela mentioned, and that was the police station that doesn't have electricity, which is just an indictment, really, on law enforcement and the rights of this community. The other is a story about a 29-year-old Ga-Rankuwa resident, Tabiso Tefu, who has not been able to find formal employment. He has spent years searching for a job. So what does he do now? And this is such a story of unemployment in South Africa. He has begun fixing potholes and is making a living. He has a jar full of coins that he gets as tips. And that's the kind of story that we want to highlight when we come to a community like that. So it's so important to do that reporting as well, but also just to get a sense of what happened earlier today. So Alpha, you're wrapping up what was discussed this morning. You've been spending some time with the community here. What was your sense of what people had to say to Clement today?
You know, my sense today and over the past 2 days that I've spent here in Ga-Rankuwa engaging with some of the community members here is that residents are very much angry about what's happening in their community. You know, not having water for months, not having electricity on top of that, surely is very frustrating for residents here in Ga-Rankuwa. And they've mentioned that the issue of crime, really, it seems like there's no political will from both the municipality, provincial government and national government to deal with it. I mean, Ga-Rankuwa is huge, it's massive, and only has one police station that is servicing people here. And however, you know, that police station is not working efficiently. As we've heard, Mandy, that police station closes its doors in the evening because they don't have electricity. They are using flashlights at night to certify documents. And you can already imagine how residents feel or the confidence that they lack in the police officers in this place. Of course, the Premier, Panyaza Lesufi, came today and responded to some of the concerns that the people had to raise, and he did speak about the police station, and he said that they are working with many people, stakeholders, to make sure that there's electricity supply there. He mentioned that they are getting solar power to that police station. He's intervening. He knows it's not his jurisdiction, but he says he can't just watch people here struggle, knowing very well that there's something that they can do. But let's take a listen to what the Premier had to say about how he plans to fix some of the issues in this community.
Indeed, my friend. And that's the reason why, as a provincial government, even though it's not our mandate to deal with electricity, we're not going to hold our hands when our people are going through frustrated electricity. Let me go back to that. We've just appointed a provincial commissioner of police, and I on his agenda was the Ga-Rankuwa police station. Provincial commissioner ensure that police station has sustainable electricity at all times. But besides that, ensure that there is a solar as a backup in case you've got other things. I'm proud that they finalized the appointment of the service provider who's going to be solar, and that there's sustainable electricity that is going to be provided to that police station. It's not our mandate, but that's what it is. You can't say it's a national mandate when our people are suffering.
So that's the Premier speaking there about the police station and issues with getting electricity there. Tell us about some of the other issues that came up today.
So today we heard the issue of street lights. You know, Ga-Rankuwa, as the residents have said, is a very unsafe community. Crime, street crimes, petty crimes, contact crimes are very rife in this township in Pretoria North. And people are saying that because there's no street lights, of course, the police are going to be unable to effectively deal with the issue. They can't see at night what's happening. They've also mentioned water issues in this community are rife. They are saying that there are residents who go for weeks, if not months, without water supply in their homes. And of course, electricity, like many other parts in the country, still remains a cause for concern here in Ga-Rankuwa. You know, they've boldly came and told us that, they are connected to electricity illegally. They are paying money every month to have lights in their homes illegally, paying 170 rand to have what they call izinyoka electricity connections. And they boldly said that to the political leaders who are here. And my sense is that some of these residents are not satisfied with what the political leaders had to say today. But let's take a listen to what this elderly woman had to say in front of Premier Panyaza Lesufi and Tshwane Mayor Celius Brink this morning.
We ended the Ritual Highway for the city of Tshwane. So Rikupatuso, but Barbara, sometimes I'm about 1 a.m., 5, 6, 7, and 8. The other places but we stayed for 3 weeks, even a water truck. So Rikupahore, Premier, as you are here, and the mayor of the city of
Our thanks to Alpha Ramashwana, EWN reporter, for wrapping up this town hall and bringing us the issues that the people of Ga-Rankuwa are talking about in the run-up to the election.
Covering the issues that matter to you.
It's the Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Live from Ga-Rankuwa on 702
and Cape Talk.
Also representing here, not just political parties, but also the IEC, the Independent Electoral Commission, that has members here today. Of course, the voters' roll has been closed. It has also been certified yesterday as well. But let's speak about voter education and whether or not people are going to actually be voting. I was chatting to a security guard here who comes from Hammanskraal, and I said, "Are you going to vote?" And absolutely, I'm going to vote. And that's important to make sure that people are aware of the necessity of voting. Clement Ntalelani is an outreach officer for Tshwane, joining us here. Clement, it's a popular name today. Okay, let me step over and come a bit closer to you with my microphone so that I can chat to you. So Clement, tell us about the work that the IEC has been doing in this community to ensure that people are educated about voting.
Yeah, thank you, Mandy, and greetings to your listeners as well. We have our community outreach team that has been educating, our community in various wards of Ga-Rankuwa and obviously across the whole of Tshwane and the country about the importance of voting and also participating in electoral democracy, especially that now we are heading towards the polls. The IEC prides itself of being a preeminent leader in electoral democracy, more so that in this 30th year of our democracy, we are going to be having our 7th general elections. And what is critical and important about these coming elections, it is the 3 ballot papers that for the first time, voters would be, issued with. And traditionally we are used during the national and provincial elections of having only 2 ballot papers, namely, your provincial and also your national ballot. But for the first time now, we'll be having equally, your regional to the national assembly ballot paper, which is the 3rd ballot paper that we have been out and about informing the various voters about. And obviously, also traditionally, we have had a provision of the law where a voter would, during the national and provincial election, vote at any voting station on election day. But this time around, for the first time, a voter needs to cause a submission or inform the Electoral Commission about their intention if they are not going to be voting at the voting station where they are registered at currently. So that is the message that we've been carrying along, across various communities, structures, forums, or wherever people are gathered.
When you listen to residents of a community such as this one in Ga-Rankuwa, in Ga-Rankuwa View, in Zone 1, and you hear how disgruntled people are and dissatisfied they are with the politicians, we know that in South Africa there's a big voter apathy problem. We see it with the turnout over the past few elections and that decline. What anecdotally, what sense are you getting from people? Do you find that people want to vote, that they are registered to vote? What has your experience been here?
I think it is a frustration for a voter to be expected to vote, especially amidst, a host of challenges that they're encountering on a day-to-day basis. But equally, would want to encourage the voters that voting according to the Constitution, it is the only value at which they can change the status quo. There is no other means of electing governance except by casting that ballot, except by having a say in who must govern, because these leaders who are now in government are the ones that, voters are the ones who elected them into power. And I think, the other message that we need to send out there is that voters need to keep their, those that they have elected for accountable. And, from the robust engagement that we've seen here today of community members, holding accountable and questioning, the Premier and also the Mayor shows, the level of dissatisfaction, but again, the responsibility that they have to hold those that they vote for accountable. So voting, though, previously we've had, not so much satisfactory turnout in our previous local government election in 2021, just under 35% voter turnout was experienced. And this time around, with the issues that are taking place, the frustration that the voters are encountering, and the fact that, we've been relaying the message to the voters that voting is the only means to change the status quo, because, over and above that, there isn't any other thing that a voter, a citizen who's eligible to vote can do, to hold and to dictate the change in their environment.
Just briefly, Clement, before you go, when you walk down the streets in your sky blue IEC shirt, what do people say to you?
Well, I must say people are excited about voting, but adversely there are those that, have mixed feeling around voting. And I think that's where, our division, find relevance in, to inform voters about their, doubts and miscommunication that they've had. Some voters would think that the IEC is another political parties, and those are some of the interactions that we've had with voters, and the mishaps that we had to clear up, and the misunderstanding that we had to clear up. Sometimes we are, accused to be aligned or to the specific political parties. Other voters are simply saying, I'm not going to vote because I know that, it doesn't matter, but we must say that, each and every vote counts. And if you don't go to vote, it means, you are disregarding your responsibility as a citizen to make a choice on who must sit in those, seats in the National Assembly and across 9 provinces or in the provincial legislatures. So we're encouraging voters that they must own up to this democracy and go in numbers to vote on the 29th of May 2024.
Clement Ntlatlani, IEC Outreach Officer for Tshwane, thank you very much for your time.